You see, chosen ones, empaths, hate is a very powerful emotion, you see, and it often causes more damage to the person who's actually doing the hating rather than the person that's being hated on, you see. And the narcissist actually hates the fact that they couldn't destroy you, you know. It really grates them down because they got their whole arsenal together. They got their whole arsenal together ready to bring you down. That's what they done. Whether they prepared for it through the devaluation and then up to the discard, or whether you had to terminate the relationship with them, they pushed you to the brink. Yeah, they pushed you to the brink of breaking point. And because you haven't done what they anticipated you would do, this really consumes them. It consumes them, it plagues their mind, and it makes them wish for a rerun. It makes them wish for a rerun that they could come back and try and destroy your life all over again. You see, they are plagued with this hate. But as I said earlier on, just a moment ago, that the person who does the hating is actually subject to more torment than the person being hated on. The same thing goes for envy. When you envy someone, the person who's envious is actually damaged more than the person they envy on. It's almost like the same with the hate. It's almost like you throw a stone, but the stone comes back and hits you in your face. Because the reason this is because as they're seeing you move forward, they constantly get reinforcements about why they didn't destroy you. And believe me, they're looking. Please press the like and the subscribe button. Help your brother out. It will take 2 seconds of your time. Thank you. But whether you haven't spoke to them for a while now or whatnot, they are still, they're keeping tabs on you. If you've got friends that are of the same circle, then either unconsciously or consciously your friends are informing them about you. That's why often a lot of people cut ties with anyone with any affiliation to the narcissist. Yeah. Or if they haven't resorted to that option, they're possibly driving around your vicinity trying to catch a look of you. And what they always do, all of them, is they love stalking on social media. So they'll be stalking to see what you're doing. But they will even, sometimes they even come back and throw out Hoovers, you see. They'll come with a Hoover to check your temperament, to check where you're at in your healing journey, to check how far you've come. And when they see that you do the door slam on them, which I'm hoping you do the door slam, this really breaks them down. The door slam and them seeing how their hate hasn't worked are two of the most powerful things. And also no contact. But most of us know that. So just realize that they are consumed with hate, that they couldn't destroy you. And it eats them up from inside. You know? They visualize like sick sadists. They visualize all of the sadistic, twisted manipulation and dark tactics they could play out on you. Yeah? They've got tendencies of a psychopath. That's why they come with these premeditated plans to bring you down. And yes, I know a lot of us have been hurt. We have been brought to what most of us have experienced as a real low, because there's such a contrast from the high that we had, the illusionary high, the love bomb, all of that. And when we see the mask slip and we see their real face, yes, it's devastating. Yes, it gives us a blow. But you're an empath. You're healing. I read the comments. I read all the comments. And I see a lot of you are fighting hard battles. Yeah, you've been through it. And this is why I bring the reinforcement to touch on issues that other people don't really touch on. Or they don't touch on it in the same way. Now, as I've mentioned in a lot of my videos, the narcissist is controlled by a demonic entity. Okay? And we know that the dark side, the devil, the negative, However you want to look at it. However you want to look at it. If you don't believe in the devil, then we know there's negative out there, yeah? They are responsible, these demonic entities or the negative parts of the world, or however you want to look at it, are responsible for things like hate, are responsible for things like envy, are responsible for things like lust, are responsible for these twisted tendencies that the narcissist lives their day by day life with, you see. This is why I say they're plugged into to that realm. They're plugged into the dark side. And the thing is because they function on all of these tendencies, and they outwardly pour these out to people, and they function on this. The dark side, the devil, the entities, however you want to look at it, also brings them down a lot. That's why I mentioned about the person that does the hating is often in a worse state than the person being hated on. The person being hated on can shrug it off, but the person doing the hating preoccupies their mind with you every single day. I've had friends that actually, not friends, but I think they were a psychopath, to be honest, more than a narcissist, but it's all the same kind of spectrum of people. And I remember they just schemed on me. They schemed on me. They tried to plot on me. They tried to send people my way to cause me harm. And then at the same time, they tried to be someone who's a caring friend. But deep down, I knew that it was actually them responsible for the problems that I ran into in life. And this is the same as a partner with the narcissist. They plot on you when they're around you, when they're around your vicinity. They're watching everything, yeah. And their minds are like a book, yeah. They're not like a book, but they try and store everything in their mind. They get very confused, but they try and store everything in their mind so they can work out, and they get not a rough idea. They think they're very accurate, but they get a rough idea of how we're going to react. So that's why when they do the discard or you separate with them, they've got enough knowledge to try and know where you'll be at. But when they see you start healing, or they see you bounce back, or they see you bouncing back, and they realize that everything they projected onto you, every bit of pain, every bit of suffering that they projected onto you, you've dusted it off like an empath would. You've dusted it off. You've got on with your life. You've moved forward. The hate comes back even more powerful. They're hating. And then plus they're around, they're in the vicinity of new supplies. They're in the vicinity of family members, children. They're in the supply. They're in the place of people. Believe me, everyone in their company, whether it's flying monkeys, the new supply, their family members, or whatnot, is suffering the consequences of being around that individual. You know, and some of the flying monkeys and the family members will start to actually get their sleepers off, and they'll actually see through the thing that you wasn't the bad one, and it's actually them. It's actually the narcissist that's a bad one, and they'll actually start to see through it, because the hate consumes them so much that they start acting irrationally. You know, they'll try all aspects. They'll try anything. If posting on social media and displaying some illusionary image of them doing well hasn't worked and hasn't brought you down, they'll try another tactic. And that's why we should never let social media ever bring us down from what we witness. We shouldn't have been looking in the first place, because we broke the golden rule of no contact. So that's why when we step into the spying, which spying or having a look, we've all done it, yeah? I've done it, you've done it, we've all had a look, because they leave us with no closure. They leave us in such a place that we want to look and see what's going on with their life, but we shouldn't look. And spying on someone is a negative attribute, yeah? Even though we're doing it in a good way, because we're trying to gain some closure, try to get some understanding, it's still a negative thing that we shouldn't do. And that's why no contact is so important. So if you can utilize no contact without even looking on their social media to check what they're doing, this creates an energy shift and makes them know, like consciously or unconsciously, they start to realize that there's an energy shift. They'll feel less of the energy coming from your direction. Everything's energy. E=mc². Everything's energy in the world. Yeah, they will feel the energy shift, and this is what happens. And just like they're hating on you, their hate will grow stronger and it will bounce back on them. The hate will bounce back on them for everything they're pouring out. It will bounce back on them. They'll tear down family members. They'll tear down their new supply, and they'll blame the ones around them for things that happen between yourselves, and they're just twisted. So never be caught up on these individuals. Never regret never ever be in doubt of what you've done wrong. Because a lot of what you think you've done wrong was actually you being forced to do the things that you've done. Like, I'm not excusing any type of behavior, but I'm not giving an excuse for you guys, but often things that we done was because we was faced with such a negative being that it makes us not act as ourselves. And we do things off the cuff, if that's the right expression. We do things off the bat. We do things rashly. Yeah, I think rashly is a better word to describe it. We do things rashly. And this is what happens when we're around them. So just know that they're very hateful wherever they are now, and try to keep them as far away from your vicinity as possible. Utilize no contact. Yeah, don't look on their social media, because that's a form of no contact. And just know they're suffering because they could not destroy you. So the more that you bounce forward and bring your life back together, peace back together, get on your purpose. You know what I mean? Find your purpose. Get onto your purpose. Find your meaning in life, what you're destined here, what your calling is to do. Find these things. Do these things. Distract your mind. Rushing into another relationship's not always the best idea. I always mention that. Until you're fully healed and you know what you're about, and then even if you go back out into the relationship world, like, don't rush to in it with someone, because you need to look for the red flags of a narcissist, because now you've got the goggles on, now you've got the glasses on to see through what they are. Do you see what I mean? So just know that by you showing your strength, your resilience, this is a crushing injury, crushing blow to the narcissist. And it just makes them consumed with more and more hate. Yeah? So much hate that they're twisted inside. They're twisted up. Do you know, like, their heart's twisted, their mind's twisted. Everything they thought was going to happen to you hasn't happened, you know? That's why, in my situation, they wanted the worst things to happen to me. They wanted the worst outcomes to happen possible. But it didn't happen. Thanks to the grace of God, it didn't happen. But, or the universe, however you want to look at it. And this tore them down because I didn't act accordingly to how they thought we'd done. So check back your own story. Look back in retrospect and piece together the picture. Did you act differently afterwards to how you think they thought you'd act? And if the answer is yes, then you've caused a brutal blow. So anyway, I'll leave the video there. Please press the like and the subscribe button. And if you want a one-to-one session, you can find the details in the description box. Anyway, I'll be back with another video soon. Peace.